And we're back. Game one already behind us. Alliance versus Vici. And Alliance, well, they just kind of ran away with it. Vici didn't seem to have much of a chance there in game one. Looking ahead to game two, what adjustments, if any, do you think Vici needs to make right now?
They just need to adapt in-game better. I don't really think the draft was that big of a problem. Yeah, Luna got just ridiculously underfarmed and fed a lot, but no one really saw that Tusk pick coming, and no one saw the aggressive tri-lane. So you can't accommodate for a draft that you can't predict. So they just have to make better in-game adjustments, switch Siler out of the lane, get Chen there earlier with that Wildkin creep. He actually stacked and Wildkin tornadoed to get 2.5, but by that time Siler had already given up first blood. If he's already there at level 1 and just pressures them early, I think the game would have been a lot different, and Tusk just got out of control. I saw a lot of little, that face with a little put your fists up.
Put your dukes up.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into the draft now for game number 2. And as we can see, the draft already well underway. Alliance has landed Ake's Chen. They've picked up the Weaver as well, and a Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon, a hero that for a long time was considered top tier. He really fell off, and now very situational. So we'll see what direction they want to go with that pick in particular. Venomancer and Rubik, the dual support leadoff picks for Vici Gaming coming in. So we are going to have a very quick remake following this draft just to make sure everyone, all of our staffers are in place in game, as one was left out, so don't sweat that. For now, though, taking a look at the front 3 and the front 2 from Alliance and Vici respectively, what do you think they have in mind, Ben?
I mean, this looks like a very, very Alliance-esque draft. I was surprised that Dragon Knight wasn't actually banned out or picked by them. I think they probably wanted Vici to pick it just because Vici takes Storm Spirit and Dragon Knight very, very often. So looks like they're pretty actually well prepared for it. Alliance, this is just probably one of the most predictable drafts I've seen from them. Not that it's bad, it's just you should know what to expect coming out from this. I guess the only unusual thing is the Shadow Demon, and that was before the Dragon Knight pick, so it wasn't actually that useful defensively just because Venomancer is a lot of damage over time. Rubik to like being able to defensively disrupt that is not that big of a deal, and being able to offensively disrupt to make like images of Weaver, Chen, or Lone Druid just not very useful because you can't make images of the bear. So not exactly sure what the Shadow Demon is picked here for, but we'll see.
Vici waiting to show us their fourth, grabbing the Dragon Knight, which we saw played very effectively in game 1. They are going to go ahead and grab the Pugna, so this is a pure out-and-out push strat. We saw in game 1 just how strong any kind of a push strategy centering around Dragon Knight can be. Pugna, obviously, and depending on where they want to run him run him as well. We've seen Pugna's farm by a number of teams. Alliance themselves have done that, just farming the Pugna in a 1 roll. Send the Dragon Knight into mid, and then go ahead and grab yourself an offlaner that might give you a little bit more aggressive potential. So they certainly have their options open to them. Alliance, though, they're certainly not going to be short on push in their own right. With Chen and the Lone Druid together, Weaver and his split push capabilities, this is going to be a game all about maneuvering and all about getting the jump and the position on your opponents to make sure you punish any sort of mistakes.
Alliance banning out the Elder Titan too. I think that Vici might just run Luna again, just like kind of like last game, except more what they wanted to do, Dragon Knight instead of the OD Pugna instead of the Clockwork. It might work out well for them. Not exactly sure if they're going to do that, though. Alliance has a very poor anti-push lineup right now, and they are pretty susceptible to getting their towers taken down, all their T1s at least, very, very
Alliance's turn to pick.
Alliance looking to show us their 5th pick right now, and we'll see. One would imagine that'll be Bulldog in the off lane with Weaver potentially farming. We have seen Weaver mid. played more than a few times and by more than a few teams as well, can be very effective. And especially in this situation where you can kind of predict a very high likelihood that it'll be Dragon Knight or Pugna mid unless they throw you some kind of a curveball. But I really want to see, I think this final pick is really going to show us their complexion. It's, you know, depending on what direction they want to go. They've got their 2 supports in the Chin and the Shadow Demon. Now it's just a matter of what they want to get for S4 or for Loda respectively.
Yep, and still taking a while for that. Puck is like okay. He typically doesn't fare that well versus Dragon Knight just because one stun will usually spell the death of Puck. But it is a very good tempo control. They do need more lockdown too. They didn't have any stuns prior to Puck, and Dreamcoil is it's okay. It's not that great, and also their team fight was extremely lacking. So I think it fills a lot of the roles that they needed. But at the same time, just in general, Puck is not that strong versus Dragon Knight.
Yeah, Puck, I mean, you see this pickup here. It almost feels like just a, hey, we need a mid. S4, what are you good at? What do you like to play? What are you comfortable with? And that's Puck. And Puck, I mean, he is a playmaking kind of a hero. Vici's going to go ahead and go 100% on board with the idea of early aggression, early push with that bounty hunter pickup. So this is a game we could see snowball out of control. We're going to have to remake once again from all picks, so make sure you hang with us real quick as we get that next lobby up. But taking a look at the 5 on both sides, Ben, what do you think? I mean, tell me where both of these lineups are going to be able to shine.
I mean, Vici's, you can tell what they're going to do. Probably try and get level 6, level 7 very early on the Pugna, on the Bounty Hunter, and just start taking down a lot of towers early, get as far ahead as they can in that early mid, just because their hero comp is not that strong going into the late game. And Alliance, they're going to be trying and split up Vici game. They don't want to let them 5-man with Pugna. They don't want to let them take down early towers, and they want to take down towers themselves. So they're going to be looking to scramble around the map and find farm there and try to mitigate Vici's and try and drag the game on as long as possible, so their 5-man will be stronger than Vici's once they get their farm on.
Well, and, you know, I actually really like this draft out of Vici, for no other reason than, again, we've seen it time and time again. We saw them do it all throughout the Eastern Division. They're just a team who just excels whenever they stick to their strengths, and their strengths certainly are usually applying pressure in the early and mid game. And obviously game 1, that didn't work out too well for them as Alliance had a trick up their sleeve. But all the players are joining into our next lobby, so we'll be moving forward as we can see Alliance talking it over, at least for the moment. But yeah, I mean, Vici again, you know, just talking about Vici just briefly in general, they were really one of the surprises coming out of our Eastern Division, I feel. I mean, it wasn't they finished first or second. In fact, well, they eventually did fight their way through the bubble race. They finished in 3rd position. They bested DK in the overall standings, and they managed to beat them in our bubble race. Then they managed to beat Invictus Gaming to get here. And in pretty much every game they won, it was with a composition kind of like this that really just suited what they do best and what Alliance, if they're not real careful, can fall into the same trap of, which is just getting a little bit behind, and that little bit behind becoming a big bit behind as the game wears on. Yeah,
the way they got to the finals was like during their super, super hot streak too. Vici's always been a decent team, but the results that we saw out of them around the Thanksgiving to early December period was just absolutely ridiculous. They beat like 6 tier 1 teams in a row. They won EMS, and they were just on fire. And I won't even say that they used that lineup to get here. They just used that lineup the whole entire few weeks. And it was pretty much the same thing, just very strong, balanced draft and something that excels at 5-man, which is just suits very well to their playstyle. So I think they need to go a little bit out of their comfort zone and experiment a little bit more like Alliance does, just because it's very easy to predict what they're going to do, very easy to draft around and see what's coming in their draft.
And I think we saw that in game 1. I mean, the fact that, you know, Alliance did something a little bit different, but it felt pretty damn safe. You know, they just assumed, oh, obviously Chen's going to be in the jungle. We see a Luna pick. We know we can shove her around a little bit. And what's a Venomancer going to do whenever, if he comes forward even a little bit, he's going to be trapped by shards, he's going to be slowed. And that's really the strength of Alliance as a team, I think, as well. And, you know, something else, you know, just as a former professional player, we talked briefly during the introduction about the fact that Vici really hasn't been super active competitively over the last 2 or 3 weeks. In fact, I think they've only played 2 games over the last 2 weeks, or 2 series over the last 2 weeks competitively. How, you know, is that enough to stay in game shape, or is that, you know, are we seeing a little bit of rust, especially when you factor in jet lag and the fact that they had to cross all the territory they did to make it here to Vegas?
Well, you never know how much a team is actually playing, even if they play a couple matches that are publicized, they could still just be scrimming a ton. And I know some teams, played on through Christmas too, just because they're that hardworking. They're, they have that drive. So I'm not exactly sure if Vici was scrimming or not. From what it seems like, it just seems like they picked off right where they left off when we last saw them. Similar in strength, similar in draft. Whereas Alliance, I haven't seen too much of them lately too. But they've, definitely turned over a new leaf.
And it looks like we are going to be moving back into the game now as all the players begin to load. And game number 2, just about to get underway. Alliance leading Vici Gaming 1-0 here in this leadoff series. And this first series, of course, today it's worth mentioning. Some team, one of our 4 teams, will be eliminated by the time all is said and done at the end of play today. The loser of this match will fall down into the lower bracket where they'll meet the loser of our second match of the day, which honestly we still might have a chance to stay on schedule for. We'll have to wait and see. And oh boy, looks like everyone's disconnecting again, so some other unforeseen issue.
He picked Beastmaster.
Oh.
There is no Beastmaster in the game.
Yeah, so we'll be jumping right back into this again, so a little bit of a mistake from the player that time. But yeah, I mean, we've talked immensely about these two teams, and obviously, the little storyline they have, the frenemy situation and all that. That's all damn good fun. But, I mean, there has to be a lot of pressure on the shoulders right now. There has to be a lot of pressure on, especially Vici right now, trailing 1 game to nothing, knowing that if they end up falling to the lower bracket, it could all be for naught. They could end up going into the lower bracket later today and end up having their run here at the HyperX D2L cut short very quickly.
And looks like we're getting away. Looking at Vici Gaming, they look slightly rustled.
Slightly rustled. Little feathers a little ruffled a little bit. Hopefully all squared away and there's no accidental picks.
Have you ever wore your headphones like that?
What?
Look at him. He's like they're forward.
Can't say I have. We are back into the match, and hopefully everything will be picked correctly this time as we look to get game 2 ready to roll. Do want to apologize to our stream viewers, by the way. Apparently my gain was way high in game 1, and I got about a gajillion tweets saying turn your mic down, and I can't because I don't have access to it back here. But hopefully everything sounds better, and if not, make sure you let us know. We'll make sure we get all of that squared away. And want to give a big thank you, of course, to the crowd showing up here on a Tuesday in the middle of the week here at Caesar's Palace. And, we're back here behind the curtains. We haven't actually had a chance to go out there and see them yet. So between series, we had to go say hello and take a look at all the friendly faces. Thank you guys so much for being here. And hope you guys enjoy your swag packs, all those stacked up. And I'm sure all of you are playing. I want to know what a HyperX Redhead is. HyperX Redhead. It's one of those. I'm going to guess it's probably the little thing we have in front of us. But many jokes were made about the HyperX Redhead that was supposed to come in all of the swag packs.
I'm still trying to think about what it is.
I think it's this guy.
Prepare for
battle. But anyway, game 2 underway as Vici and Alliance both move out. Let's take a look at who's handling who. S4 going to be on his puck. And his puck is the thing of legends for more than one reason. Ake, not too shabby on Jhin, either one of his marquee heroes. Loda will be farming our little bug, the Weaver, played by him. He's made his way to the off lane with EGM, playing on the Shadow Demon, and Admiral Bulldog on the hero that he made famous and has made him famous, the Lone Druid. On the other side of the river, we're going to have ROTK.
Hey, we're going to scout out this 3-man, 4-man from Vici.
And S4 going to walk right up into it. It's an auto attack. Jaunts about 3 inches. That's enough to keep him alive. As Vici trying to make something happen early on, unable to find anything when they come up fishing.
That was close. He actually almost died there. He turned around and almost got stunned by DK, and that would have almost certainly spelled his death. So a little bit of cheeky play coming out from S4 there. They have this ward out here very, very early, which is very surprising as Vici. I guess they want to keep track of Chen and see what he's up to, but they didn't actually block his spawn too. So if he just gets his big camp and then just goes over here and then smokes or something like that, they'll be able to, or they won't be able to see him at all. But Looks like we'll see Aki. Yes, he does have a smoke in his inventory. Him and EGM will likely be moving around together a lot. Alliance has set up one ward right now in the bottom lane to make things a little bit safer for the off-lane Weaver, and they're actually switching things up a little bit. Admiral Bulldog will be soloing the safe lane as Lone Druid, and Loda will be soloing the off lane as a Weaver. So I don't know if they have sentries. Yes, they do. Rubik already has sentries. He has a DD. Loda has to be extremely, extremely careful.
Bulldog taking the safe lane farm, and it's the Bulldog factor, man. Whenever he's able to get free farm like this, and it's not going to be total free farm. ROTK is in the lane, but he's even going to have some help out from EGM. You just have to account for the fact that he's going to farm an immense amount. He's going to farm more than you could ever expect, and he will make you pay if you don't manage to put some pressure onto him early. And ROTK, in the meantime, going to be happy to just try and soak some experience. Sentry Ward's already out on EGM, though, so he and Bulldog going to have a chance to confound things a bit for him as we see one drop now.
Yep, ROTK going with the early boots build on top, but no stout shield, so he can't actually trade harass with Admiral Bulldog at all, especially considering Admiral Bulldog has a stout shield and Overvenom up on his bear. So ROTK is going to have a very, very tough time in this lane.
We can see here in mid, S4 getting the best of Super, at least marginally, 7-1 to the 4-1 of Super so far. Experience roughly the same. DK actually leads by a point or two. EGM trying to do his thing out here, and we see ROTK doing a little pot shot damage while he can. Loda in the meantime, sitting at 0-0, and even having trouble soaking experience against this tri-lane. So he's going to have to play some catch-up later on.
Aki doing his jungle work, just chilling there. He had a Wildkin, now he has a Centaur. Not sure if he's going to smoke it. Yep, he is hooking up with EGM. There is a smoke. It won't be detected by the Observer Ward. Looks like there may be an early first blood attempt on Super, but are they really going to be able to lock him in place? ROTK goes up there, reveals the smoke, and they find him.
As soon as it's revealed, they drop the sentry. There's the stomp to follow it up. ROTK will be our first blood. S4 joined in the fun just for the S's and G's of it all. And such quick reaction time. We saw them come down this way. The smoke was immediately revealed. It could not have been a quarter second before that sentry went down, and they were able to spot out the bounty hunter.
Yeah, that's just great play by EGM right there. Just very, very prepared. Dropped a sentry, immediate disrupt, and his team is able to perfectly set up with the Centaur Stomp afterwards and the orb hitting as soon as that Soul Catcher comes up too. So they were just very well prepared for that. Obviously, the target was Super, but they'll be very happy with an early ROTK kill. The longer they delay the level 6, the more difficult the mid-game is going to be for Vici.
Speaking of Super, he's at 11 CS now. He's actually ahead of S4, so for the second game in a row, we see a Dragon Knight player doing quite good work against a ranged hero in mid. And really just one of the strengths of the hero. My question is how they're going to decide to build him. Are they going to make him tanky, take a pure tank approach build? Or are they going to show us something a bit more aggressive, like a Drums Shadowblade kind of an approach? S4 taking a bit of damage, but looks like everyone will make it home safely. Taking a look at the Bounty Hunter, he's about halfway between levels 3 and 4, so if he can get a quick 6, he's going to be able to start breaking this map open a little bit.
I'm looking to see if they're going to pick up another smoke. Yes, there is another smoke picked up by Aki, and they smoke again with the Centaur. It does have 100 mana. They can kill Super. It's going to be somewhat difficult. He is sitting at 600 HP with a magic stick too, so they're going to have to throw everything that they have on him.
He's actually bottling up as well. And bottle now onto the Courier. This is going to be a 3-man smoke gank, or a 2-man smoke gank to help out S4. It'll end up being a 3-man attempt. And Super hanging right at the edge. Oh,
ROTK gets revealed with the dust, but he is too fast. He is not invis anymore, so the dust actually does not slow his move speed. So a failed gank attempt by EGM. Man, ROTK has been there. I think he actually plans to bait out the smokes too, and if no one's there, then they'll try and get an easy kill on S4.
Yep. So far, the timing and the game sense has really just been immaculate. As you mentioned, ROTK obviously paying the price the first time he rotated down there, but still helping to keep Super up and alive, and really keeping Super alive and allowing him to be effective in mid. That's more than worth the price of admission.
Loda, his tower's coming under a little bit of siege on bottom. We see Venomancer level 3 right now with level 1 ward. A Gale comes out on Loda. They might actually go for a kill attempt here.
Manages the Shikuchi away. The sentry did go down, but here's that push power we were talking about. This tower already down to a quarter health. And no reaction coming anytime soon. They're just trying to grab creeps and pull them back. They will go ahead and use the glyph. Let's see if there's going to be a TP. Doesn't look like there will be. Nether Blast just so damn good in this situation.
Yep, and the mass Venom wards too.
And And here we go. We're going to have one come in as the tower drops. They might try to re-engage. S4 is there. Gets telekinesed immediately, though. And slowed, unable to catch up. He will jaunt and gets a two-man coil. FY picked off on the side, and Fenrir's going to make it a twofer. Double kill going the way of S4. And just like that, it's 3-0.
That was a very nice two-man coil. That was like probably maximum radius on that Dream Coil, too. That was actually pretty difficult to pull off, even though he made it look easy. And ROTK scouts out Aki.
And Ake down to about half health. Easy kill. Vici finds their way onto the board. So they managed to draw the first blood in towers. They do trail in kills, but taking a look at the gold graph, we can see still very, very close. In fact, as of right now, Vici actually leads in gold, and the experience, though, heavily in favor of Alliance so far.
Yep, levels and supports too. We see almost level 4 on the Shadow Demon, almost 4.5 on the Chen too. So the supports on Alliance are slightly out-leveling the supports on Vici, ROTK, level 4.5 too, trying to work on his phase boots and trying to harass down Admiral Bulldog, but just not coming anywhere close. Shadow Demon does have a dust on him. They could potentially go for a kill. I think they need a root though to make it happen.
We can see Super continuing to do a pretty good job, but quietly, surely, slowly but surely, Admiral Bulldog just continuing to farm away. He's already got his phase boots up, plus another 500 gold. 41 CS for him. Left pretty much all alone up in this top lane and capitalizing on it as much as he can. But Sylar, certainly not in bad shape either. He's sitting at 40 CS of his own, has his arc boots up, a Bassi, and another 1,100 gold to go with it.
Yep, Admiral Bulldog just farming away. Not sure if he's going Midas into a Radiant after the phase boots. We'll see his item pick up pretty soon. 700 gold on him after the double boots.
EGM finding decent levels, level 4 as you had mentioned. A lot of that early activity paying off, and I'm curious when Vici's going to begin to break this down. I'm actually a little surprised they haven't begun to roam FY and Fenrir more than they have. I mean, right now, Sylar's completely uncontested. Loda bailed out quite some time ago and has been nowhere to be seen. Now finally will show his face again, but for the most part, Sylar already level 6.5, and Loda actually catching up decently in levels. Still, seems
they don't have any detection. How are they planning on killing Loda?
Yeah. Chain stuns, I suppose. Loda does have a TP, and he's not going to spin it quite yet. Going to hang, at least for the moment. Nope, now he's going to go home.
Yep. Goes back to the T2. Now he's all safe, but as Vici makes the push for the T2, Alliance will make the push for a T1. I think they're just going to try and stall. They don't have the firepower to deal with this sort of push, too. There's another ward drop. There's a lot of Venom wards. Super is level 7 with the Corrosive Breath. There's just no way they can defend this tower. So the best they can do is try and trade 2 towers for 1, albeit 2 T1s for a T2.
And see, Tier 1 bottom drops, Tier 2, or Tier 1 top. Still together, at least for the moment. They will be warded away from the Tier 1 in mid. And looks like FY is going to be enough there by himself to go ahead and hold things together.
Alliance just gave away that tower for free, but it's the best they could do. If they just try and fight there, they just get obliterated by the superior 5-man lineup from Vici, as well as giving us some trap kills. So I think it's very important for Alliance not to give Vici more than they should get at this point in the game. They also need to farm up a probably Blink Dagger on Puck and 1 big item on Lone Druid, I think, before they actually want to go into violent fights. Yeah, if they push up your T3, you should fight. But aside from that, just trying to apply pressure around the map and try and get more farm than Vici is, even if they are taking your towers down right now. Vici is up 2 towers, but they're only up by 1,500 gold, so Alliance still ahead in terms of raw CS.
Very critical time in this game right now for Vici. Want to see what did Super just buy? Did he? Yep, he's bought an Ogre Club, so it will be an early BKB rush for him. Sylar, in the meantime, has invested all of his early gold into that early mechanism. So Vici going with this heavy push, constant fight sort of an approach in their composition. And this is going to be tough for Alliance to weather. As you mentioned earlier, they had to give up, already had to give up a free Tier 2 just because they don't have the firepower. And right now it's really not all that different. I mean, Bulldog will be able to show up eventually, but especially with the Bounty Hunter now being level 6 and having track, you just can't afford to take fights and lose them against this team. You cannot hope to make that kind of gap up, especially whenever all of your map control is being whittled away with all of your towers.
Yep, and another tower goes down and unanswered by Alliance. Dude, they have 2 heroes in mid, Aki with his creeps and S4 with his illusory arsenal, but it is just not doing that much to slow down Vici. And Alliance is kind of in a tough spot, but they're at least slowing down what Vici can do. It could have been all 3 T1 towers down already 10 minutes in the game, but instead it's just 2 T1s and or 2 T1s and a T2. About to be 2 T2s though, so I don't know if Alliance is very comfortable with this. Although they can't really do anything about it, but they still have to feel pretty uneasy with the amount of gold that is coming Vici's way.
And it will be Bounty that takes the last hit on that tower. And Vici in beautiful position now, 10.5 minutes in. Continuing to build on that lead, we can see the gold beginning to look a little ugly. 3,000 gold their advantage. The experience continuing to go the way of Alliance, but as of right now, map control completely in the hands of Vici Gaming. And what's going to come down to is how quickly and effectively Bulldog can start coming to fights. He's got 2,400 gold right now, so one would assume it's going to be a Radiance build. Once he gets that up, it could be pretty damn deadly. I mean, Vici has some tank to them. They have the Dragon Knight, but for the most part, their supports and Pugna in particular, not super survivable and cannot really survive sustained fights, especially against the Chen.
Yep, Vici's actually hurting a lot in terms of levels right now. If you look at the gold graph, yeah, 3,500 in favor of Vici as expected, but if you look at the experience, it's over 4,000 in favor of Alliance, just because there really hasn't been that much happening around the map right now. They're trying to gank the Spirit Bear right now, but it's not even at half HP yet, and Alliance is just making much better use of being efficient around the map. FY will be caught on bottom.
Nice telekinesis, bought him a little bit of time, but not nearly enough. In the meantime, Vici getting things done elsewhere. More than happy to trade a wayward Rubik for yet another tower. And just like that, short of 12 minutes into this game, Merlini, only 1 tower remains for Alliance. They are on the ropes.
They're about to get that first T1 of their own, though, and the gold graph is just not that much different. 4,000 gold, especially after this 1 tower, it's not going to be that big of a difference. I think the main thing will be, will Vici actually be able to do anything with his lead? Are they going to be able to get a Shadow Blade up on Dragon Knight and find some kills on important heroes like Puck, Weaver, Admiral Bulldogs, Lone Druid? Are they going to be able to take out Roshan? Are they going to be able to get any damage onto the T3? Are they going to be able to starve out Alliance? And I don't really think that they can accomplish many of those tasks. Loda.
Oh, nice coil, caught 2. And S4 gets the silence off. There's the hand of God, but everyone's hurting a little bit. Super will be able to make it away. And Siler going to be able to scurry himself to safety as well. So they take the tower, and even though the reaction was there from Alliance, we saw in action just how little firepower they actually have. This team of Vici is just too hard to handle at this stage, especially whenever they're in packs and they're all together.
The Blink Dagger on Puck and the Radiance on Lone Druid is going to hit around the same time, though. So if Vici doesn't make anything happen before that, I think they're actually going to lose the game as soon as all those other towers start going in favor of Alliance, as soon as they get Roshan, too. And they just have a better, well-rounded lineup. Vici's lineup, all about the early game, all about getting early towers, early kills. But now they're almost out of firepower. This is the most crucial time for Vici. It was easy to take down those 6 towers because it was pretty much uncontested. But now are they going to be able to translate that into a victory?
And this is what we've seen time and time again. I mean, basically Alliance said, you know what? You can take our towers. We'll just take kills where we can, and they still maintain a kill lead 4-1. But it's all about the Bulldog, and he's only 500 gold away from his relic now.
Yeah, they haven't been able to pressure Bulldog at all, and I mean, I've seen this a lot out of Alliance too. It's pretty much create space for Admiral Bulldog, delay the game as long as possible. If they try to accomplish very, very important objectives, like take a T3 or take out Roshan, then they'll call for Bulldog's help. Otherwise, just wait for his Radiance and then start fighting.
Another ward down. Looks like they're committed to this, and they need to be. What did he get? FY managing to get Orb. Alliance holding the line, but
this tower's taking a lot of damage, though.
Yep. Vici not about to give up the ghost.
Radiance
and here we go. Bear will be brought down. That's a significant loss. Bulldog still has 30 seconds until he can resummon.
I think his tower's going to go down before he'll be able to resummon it. They don't have a Glyph for another 50 seconds, and that's a very, very long time when we're talking about a Pugna Blast with 5.5-second cooldown.
Yep. And Bulldog actually had to go back to base just to get the mana to resummon.
Oh, wow, they're backing off? I think they could have just gone for the T3. Well,
Yeah, I'm a little surprised as well.
They were there for like a good minute and a half, and they didn't really walk away with that much except for 300 gold and half the damage on the T3. But next time they push, Alliance will be that much closer to the Radiance, will be that much closer to Blink Dagger, which is already up on S4, and they will have their Glyph off for cooldown. So Vici is going to have a lot of things going against them on their next push as compared to that previous push.
BKB up on Super, very important item coming out against this squad. The problem he's going to run into is even though he has it, it'll certainly mitigate Radiance damage. Bulldog's still going to be, well, more importantly, Bulldog's Bear is going to be hitting just like an absolute truck. And we can see the relic's already done, and Bulldog beginning to work towards the recipe. This is such an important showing now. They're going to get this Bear. Bear's down to half health. Bulldog has to exit. If they get this Bear, this is their tag for them. They're going to telekinesis it back. Do they have the damage? They don't. It barely makes it away. This tower in mid, though, continues to take a lot of damage. ROTK eating a lot of damage in the meantime. And Ake trying to do what he can with his creeps to ward this away, but the range on Super and Sylar with Nether Blast just too strong. They're going to glyph. Just buy time.
It's about to die. 74 HP. That's just one Pugna Blast left, and Super whacking away on it. Still has plenty of time left on his Elder Dragon form. He hits BKB. Can Alliance actually do anything before the Radiance on the Bear? It's still 1,100 gold away from coming out.
Bulldog shows his face again. The Bear freshly rejuvenated, but Vici, I'd be surprised if they're going to hang around. They don't really have an incentive to do so right now. They could back off and have a big win. They're going to go for it, though, wanting to slam the door in their face and knowing if they get Bulldog's Bear, they could take racks.
I think they just whittle away on the range racks right now. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get the melee. It's definitely a safer bet to just wail on the range rack with Pugna Blast. And nope, they are going to call it. And that is when Elder Form on Dragon Knight has ended. So I think that next fight, Bulldog is going to have his Radiance. So just 1,000 gold away. And it's just going to be even more difficult for Vici. They are just so close to getting that racks, though.
Medallion, the pickup on Fenrir. Gives them the option to take a fairly quick Roshan if they want to try and sneak something in, but more importantly, helps bring down heroes like Weaver and the Lone Druid, played by Admiral Bulldog. 17 minutes in, they got the tier 3, and their gold lead continues to be kind of flatlined. They're sitting at just about 6,000 gold ahead of the opposition right now. The experience, though, continues to move in Alliance's favor, so this game's still pretty close, but Vici really has all of the options available to them in terms of how they want to set the pace, what they want to execute. Do they want to strangle? Do they just want to out-farm? They have everything available to them. If you're in their shoes, then what's the plan of action?
Well, RTK might be getting a kill on EGM. He is calling for backup right now. I think they just have to kill the important heroes over and over. Just forget about Chen, forget about Shadow Demon, kill Loda, kill Puck, and kill Admiral Bulldog.
EGM will be cleaned up. Just waited on Sylar to come up and take the kill. So Sylar securing that kill.
Space created, though. Still 400 gold until Lone Druid's Radiance. If he gets his tower, that will be it. So it is actually very, very crucial that he gets this. He doesn't actually have his TP scroll up, though. So 35 seconds away from him being able to TP, even if he does get this tower. I think that'll be more than enough time for Vici to get this Brax. Yep, they're not even going to defend it. He has his Radiance, but he can't come home.
Yep. Vici waiting on creeps, and here they come. Do or die time for Alliance. They're going to find themselves very far behind if they don't manage to stultify this. And we're going to have Loda stunned out. There's a disruption. He's tracked as well. And Loda working on his Desolator, not quite done with it yet. Really wishes he had it. There's going to be a silence that catches a couple. S4, though, going to be blown up on the back end of it. And the BKB popped on Super. Keeps him up and fighting and safe. Here comes the Radiance Bear. Will it be enough? This bottom racks. Up, here we go. Loda caught out and killed off. S4 goes in, gets the silence off on FY Super, hanging around the edge.
What a root.
Trying to do what he can. Bulldog going to be stunned out, but another Dragon Tail onto the Bear. Can they get it? They can. Poison Nova caught Ake and Bulldog both. And S4 trying to clean things up from the periphery. In the meantime, we see the Venomancer end up dead. And Super will be able to make it away as well. Bulldog manages to resummon ROTK. Still hanging around and manages to snag another kill on Shadow Demon. So In the meantime, though, if there's any win that Alliance can take, it's the fact that they managed to keep those racks up. They're not done, though. We're actually going to see S4 track down the Rubik, and they're just continuing to chase each other around in the shadow of these tier 3s.
Vici still does not have the racks down yet, though, and you can see that they split their damage. Well, a lot of it is from Pugnant Blast, but if they just focus the damage from the melee onto the range, it would be down by now, and they would actually have a slight advantage. But they're just throwing themselves against a brick wall right now. That's with Puck buying back and with killing Lone Druid's bear, but Alliance is still getting more and more farm at this point, even with track gold. And the tower gold is just gold sitting in the bank for Alliance if they can actually push out. And I don't think that either team is strong enough to contest Roshan right now. I think both teams are fairly equal in terms of strength. That was also a very nice counter initiation on the Puck.
We can actually see that it's been a Sanj pickup for Super, so continuing the tank up. And could be on his way to a halberd, could be going with an S and Y. We'll find out which. Vici is going to go ahead and hook up his 5. There's a double damage rune in Super's back pocket, so
here's a smoke. They're going to try and get them before they're ready, before they're fortified with Nether Ward and Pugna Wards.
And here we go. Bear leads away. Beautiful silence. Siler gets off the mech, though. S4 he gets disrupted and saved out of that Super. Still alive and going to work. However, Bulldog's very close to death. S4 jumped in a little preemptively, and now Super might get the bear as well. Vici managing to turn it around. There was a buyback out of the Pugna, but in the end wasn't really needed. They've closed the kill gap 8 to 8.
It's needed if they want to get this racks, though. Or both racks, rather. And now S4 is dead without buyback. Admiral Bulldog, his bear is dead. It is resummoning in about 1 second's time, but the first rack has fallen, the second rack has fallen, and they might even go for more. Super still has his double damage. He still has his Elder Dragon form for about 20 more seconds, and this tower is getting blown up. They're forced to use a glyph immediately. Spirit Bear has been resummoned.
Moving along the edge, trying to get that Radiance burn damage. EGM's going to be telekinesis. Got the disruption off, but no follow-up. ROTK's right there. And we see the Shadow Demon cleaned up very easily. Meching through this damage. Vici beginning to feel quite powerful. And with S4 back up, looks like they will go ahead and cut and take their win. Not hang around past their welcome. But they've taken the kill lead. They've taken the racks. Map control completely in their favor. If you're Alliance, what's the plan, man? At this point of the game, this feels very close to slipping away from you.
They need better initiation. Oh, FY.
Managing to force Staff himself to safety. And no jaunt afterwards, so he'll be able to hustle himself back home.
Yeah, they need better initiation. Puck can't afford to die anymore. If he dies one more time, well, he didn't have buyback last time, and he won't have buyback the next time either. So he needs to make sure that he silences Rubik as well as Dragon Knight, or is able to phase shift so that he does not get caught out, because he is a significant source of their AoE damage, and Shadow Demon needs to really be on top of their disrupts too. So they just have to execute fights slightly better than Vici.
Tier 3 top. There's going to be a nice coil and followed by a waning rip, but Super able to BKB through it all. Loda has a BKB of his own. And they just don't have the damage output. Even the supports are lasting too long. And Loda has to spend time lapse. There's a nice stun from the Centaur that buys a little bit of time. The Radiance burn doing its work, but not nearly enough. As Super continues to just face tank it all. We'll finally pull back. There's going to be a Dragon Tail onto the bear. Can they bring it down? Down to about a quarter. He does have a resummon up right now. So even if they drop it, he'll be able to get it back up. Doesn't matter as the tier 3 drops nonetheless. And now, the second set of racks. The target, they're going to be able to catch Loda very quickly. Force Staff into the Dragon Tail. Enough to squash the bug. Mech back off cooldown. And there's a Poison Nova, got Ake, and did get Bulldog as well. Bulldog will end up dropping. That's probably, yep, that could be your GG, as they managed to get the next set of racks, and at this point, they just have very little comeback. Oh, no, never mind. They actually did manage to keep it up. I thought they were going to hang.
That was a very nice initiation by S4. He pretty much got 3 people in his Waning Rift and Elusive Orb combo. He has to be very careful about when he jumps in, though. The last time that he jumped in, Super saw it coming, he BKB and stunned him immediately, and then he just died. Looks like Rubik may take a spill here.
And FY making good use of that Force Staff, has gotten himself out of harm's way a number of times just in the last few minutes. Very nice Force Staff from him to get Super on top of Loda to secure that kill too, by the way.
It's so important for Alliance to kill Pugna, though. Pugna is their mech bearer. He has arcane boost as well. He has Force Staff to Crep to save people. He has the Life Drain, Nether Ward, and the Tower Sieging abilities. He is top priority to kill on Alliance. You can kill Dragon Knight. He's very annoying with the stun, but with BKB 1800 HP and Heaven's Halberd evasion, there's no way they're going to be able to burst him down, so they have to kill the squishiest target possible that does the most amount of damage and is most useful to their fight. Pugna only has 800 HP right now. I think he needs to brace her up, maybe turn his Magic Stick into a Magic Wand. He just keeps getting picked off, and if he dies one more time, I think, before they get that Rex, I think Alliance actually has the upper hand.
Well, Super, with 2,200 gold in the bank, certainly has his options open to him. FY, in the meantime, has gone with an Ultra Mobility build. Blink Dagger and Force Staff both to go with that Urn. ROTK, survivable with the drums and the BKB. And Sylar, of course, with a Force Staff of his own. They're trying to track down S4. We'll be able to blink after the phase shift. But this top lane, once again, the target. And here we go. Super pops the ulti. And they crest the hill. In the meantime, down below, we can see ROTK caught out and manages to make it away. The bear telekinesed back. There's a coil that caught too, but no follow-up. And the Centaur Stomp is actually off the mark as well.
Wow, they didn't kill the Beetle on ROTK.
Bulldog caught with a Dragon Tail down, and Poison Nova goes off at the same time as Hand of God. In the meantime, S4 managing to find a kill behind him. Life Drain right now, keeping Sylar alive a little bit longer, but Loda manages to make it a double kill. Now Super forced the TP away. Don't have the damage, don't have the stuns. Alliance manages to give up another Rax, but they do get a number of kills in exchange for it.
They're still in this game, but just barely. They managed to kill 4 VG heroes, but their range Rex is at 68 HP with no method of healing that, no Treant Protector like last game. Just one simple Pugna Blast will take down that Rax for them. And now if Vici just gets the Aegis of the Immortal and tries to just chip away at that last T3, I think they can win this game. They're still in a pretty precarious position, though, just because their heroes are pretty under-leveled at this point compared to Alliance's. But Alliance hasn't had really any items come in. They've had the Blink Dagger on Puck for quite some time, only an Ultimate Orb in like maybe 12, 13 minutes time. On the Lone Druid too, his Bear and Admiral Bulldog has died a couple of times already too.
See Vici deciding to take a bit of a breather. One of the few times in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, we've actually seen them spend some time on their side of the river, but that respite is short-lived as they're now eyeing the Roshan pit. And Alliance, willing to really split up and play as anything but 5, and for good reason. 14-14, we're all knotted up.
Look how far this lane is pushed out because of the bear, though. It's just so important for Alliance to be able to push out the lanes right now because they are 2 racks down, 2.5, pretty much. Well, actually, this range rack's almost at almost 4 racks.
Alliance moving through mid. Looks like they might take a shot at a tower. Just so hard for them at this stage when you're behind this much and you've lost this much control. So hard, even with the lanes pushed out, to really get aggressive. We're going to see them go for it, though. As Loda pops the BKB, trying to chase down ROTK, going to turn and now re-engage. Super's down to half health. And looks like Vici backing out of the fight. There's a telekinesis onto the bear. And they're going to Dragon Tail it as well. Life draining it and just trying to soften it up. And the pre-tracks going on. Vici doing what they can with this defensive footing. Another steal of the Illusory Orb for FY. And let's see if Alliance wants to commit to this. Looks like they're wavering a bit.
Regeneration.
Yep, their left lane is pushed out so far out, even with 1 rack down. And that just nice play by Admiral Bulldog there. Now he's going to push the bottom lane too. So even though you're pushing mid, generally when you're up on rack, you're like, okay, well, if they want to make something happen in one lane, we'll just wait for the other 2 lanes to push in. But they can't do that versus a Lone Druid with a Radiance.
That bear, very active, making its way all across the map to, as you mentioned, maintain some semblance of map equilibrium, even though they have no towers remaining, save for the tier 3 bottom. They're still managing to keep themselves in a position where they can come out of the base and not feel totally vulnerable.
Yeah, and if an important hero like Pugna TP's down bottom, they can try and sneak in a Roshan fairly quickly. They don't have any minus armor on their team, which I think is actually a pretty big deal. I think one of them needs a medallion if possible, but they're actually very poor. They have had to save for buybacks, so you can't really blame them for not having any items.
We see Loda seems to be finally making his way towards that Desolator. He went with a Mithril Hammer first build, which seemed to indicate that's what he wanted, but eventually finished up his BKB.
He doesn't have any damage. Like, he does 150 with a hammer pickup, but just when he had his BKB, he just hit like a wet noodle.
Yep. And has to have it. Really thought it'd come out a little bit earlier, to be honest, but wasn't his choice. And now Alliance finding themselves up against the ropes. Vici trying desperately to force a game 3 while Alliance wants to find some way to slam the door shut and send Vici packing into the lower bracket. Vici, though, looks like they think Roshan is their key to a game 3.
S4 knows that they're there, though. He is invisible. Do they have any detection? Does not look like it. He could potentially actually try and steal it, but they have no vision inside the pit. They need Shadow Demon. There he is with the Shadow Poison. It is about 1/4 HP, dropping quickly.
They're going to have to move in soon. And here they come in force. Vici getting out of the pit, setting their heels in a defensive position. There we go. Loda telekinesis back. Super is going to be there with the Dragon Tail. And Loda blown up immediately. Now the rest of Alliance is on the run. Ake is being chipped away and brought down. That's a double kill for our OTK.
They need a defensive disrupt there so badly.
Yep. And this ultra mobility build out of FY is showing itself to be so effective. This is why good Rubik players love to have all that mobility. And we saw him try to do something cute. And he comes in, and Pugna managed to get the Aegis. Coil went down on the Super, but the Bear, the only one there in any position to do damage, and going to be brought down now. Very nice Poison Nova. But Fenrir, they should get the Bear off of this as well. And
this should be GG. That is a little bit too much of a devastating loss to come back from, and they can just have one hero get that top X. They can easily take that T3 with the use of the Aegis, and with S4 down for another 30 seconds too. And this is really what Vici excels at, just getting that early game advantage and taking down those towers, and then just continuing off that advantage for the rest of the game, just 5-manning. And that really is their strength. And I think Alliance tried to beat them at their own game, but I think Vici's 5-man play is just a little bit stronger than Alliance's. And yeah, Alliance tried to do the thing that they usually do. Oh, okay, well, we'll try and buy time for a Radiance, but it just didn't really make that big of a difference in the game. They were pretty close to getting to that point where they could come back, but just a nice play from Vici. Oh, this Courier. Poor Snell.
Manages to make it away just by the flip of his feathers. But just to drive your point home, there aren't many teams that could do what Vici did, which is say, okay, Bulldog, take free farm. It's fine. We're not even going to try to pressure you that much, and when we do, it doesn't matter if it works or not. They just are so good at capitalizing in that phase of the game. One of the best in the world, if not the best. And now we're going to see our OTK. He's actually force staff. And force staff to safety. They're going to telekinesis the Bear, and Gale's there with life drain. They're going to come in, get a coil off on 2. Can they follow it up? Loda has his BKB activated. Siler manages to make it away. Loda, Shikuching trying to get to safety. Will time lapse all the way back to the north side. They did manage to get the Aegis off of Siler, but now with him back up, the Bear will be able to scurry away just a bit. But the overwhelming force of Vici showing itself in a very real way as Super pops his own BKB. Telekinesis on the S4. There's the follow-up. Phase shift by sometime. But Dragon Tail right as he comes back out. Double kill for Super, and GG's called. So it took him a little bit longer than it took Alliance in game 1. But Vici makes our first series an interesting one, my friend. We're going to game 3. With one of these two teams falling down to the lower bracket if they can't get a handle on the opposition. But I really think we kind of hit it on hit the nail on the head. We talked about it the entire time, just how good Vici is at this style of play. And like you said, Alliance thought they could best it. Didn't look like they could.
Yeah, and they also just gave Super Dragon Knight. He didn't die a single time in that game. 5-0 and 13 on the Dragon Knight, and he also had very crucial stuns on Puck as they were pushing a T3. So I would say MVP goes to Super this game, and I mean, they banned out the Storm, but they just gave him the Dragon Knight. They first picked it last game. I just don't think they had a solution for Vici's playstyle, even though it was a very, very predictable playstyle, predictable lanes, predictable like push timings. They just didn't cope with it very well, and I think slightly lesser teams at 5-manning would have fallen to Alliance's split push and split pressure style, but Vici's 5-man was just exceptional that game.
Couldn't agree with you more, my friend. 5-0-13, as you said, super. Really a standout player. Loda actually caught up fairly well by the time all was said and done, but only a break-even performance from him at 4-4. Same with S4. S4 really, we talked about it a bit in game. He just seemed to kind of get himself into fights he couldn't fight.
Well, he just always got Dragon Knight, so that Dragon Knight is just so good against Puck, though. Yeah. They have to account for that.
Game 2's behind us. Our first series continues to roll on. We're going the distance. Game 3 of Vici versus Alliance coming up next here on the HyperX D2L. Stick with us, guys. We'll be right back.